build up enough flavor profiles in your mind that even without tasting something, you can taste it in your brain.
Right.
Brain's really cool with that way because we have a simulator that's from our fight or flight reflex, where you can simulate a flavor without ever tasting it. Like, for instance, I bet you've never had a cilantro ice cream.
No, I haven't.
But you just tasted it in your brain.
I did. You
just
right. That's
fully
good. That was good. Yeah.
So the more you're involved with things and the more you get to do things, you can rely on it a lot more. Of just, I've never tasted these flavors together, but I can simulate it, and I think that this is how it would work, and then I just execute it.
Hey there, I'm Geno Lee, the chef and owner of the Big Apple Inn here in Jackson, and we want to welcome you today to our podcast, Jackson's Table, a place where we love for you to come and learn about our local chefs, our local cuisine, and our just local places to visit. And today we're so pleased to have our own Guillermo Salinas to Jackson's Table. Welcome, Guillermo.
Thanks for having me.
Or G, or Billy. What do you go by?
Mostly G or Guillermo, if you can say it.
Why G? Because people couldn't say Guillermo?
People couldn't say Guillermo. And then I started saying Billy, but that was kind of like my mom's nickname for me. And then it just kind of got out of hand. So I've been kind of going back to no, Guillermo.
From Guillermo to Billy, that's different.
I know.
You know, it's funny because my great-grandfather opened a restaurant here 87 years ago, and his name was Juan. But people in the South couldn't say Juan, so they called him John.
John, there you go. That typically happens.
Well, that's neat. Well, Guillermo, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, like I said, I'm not from here originally, so I was raised in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. It's a small little town.
Say that again. I love that.
Yeah, Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Do you know what Zihuatanejo means?
No, I don't.
Oh, it is hilarious. So it was actually named by the Spanish. So when the Spanish came over, they were looking for specifically gold. And so they came to Zihuatanejo, which is this little fishing village. They found no gold. And so they named it, but they found lots of women. So the name of Zihuatanejo is Land of Beautiful Women with No Value because they found no gold, but lots of beautiful women. So that's what Zihuatanejo means.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I know the women love to hear that. You know,
I know. That's
like women, no value.
No value. Yeah.
So how long have you been here in Jackson?
So I've been in Jackson. So I came to Jackson for Belhaven. I got a scholarship for the art program, and I came here in 2013. And so I've been here pretty much since then, except for a year gap that my wife and I moved to Houston, where I worked at the Post Oak Hotel, which was great. But COVID happened. And so that just kind of shot all of the food industry. And she was in the dancers. So she was actually in a dance company. So that also got shot. So we were just kind of figuring everything out. We were about to have our firstborn son. So we were just like, well, we always wanted to go back to Jackson. We love Jackson, but we left because she wanted to get into a dance program, which they didn't really have anything here in Jackson. And I told her I can get food anywhere. And but this was her season. So we knew that Jackson was going to be on our horizons. We just didn't think it was going to be that fast. But came back in 2020 and then have been here since.
Wow. So when you came here, what got you into the food scene, the culinary scene?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've always been in the culinary scene here in Jackson, even when I first got here, because I was studying at Belhaven. But I was also working, I say part-time, but I was working 30 to 40 hours a week.
That's full-time.
At La Brioche when they first opened up in Fondren. I was their sous chef. And so I knew a little bit of the scene then because I was kind of in it. And so when I came back, I just kind of was seeing what everything was doing. And we had a lot of new chefs come in too. So like Polito's hadn't opened up yet. Elvi's had just been opening up too, which I knew both of them. And then a lot of coffee shops were also starting to kind of like pop up. And I was noticing that they didn't have a lot of pastry. There wasn't a lot of pastry just in general in Jackson. So when we came back, kind of starting from ground zero, I worked with my father-in-law that had a coffee company. And so I started doing, coffee and pastries go together. So started there and then started working out of my house, doing the farmer's market, doing pickups every Friday with pre-orders. And I told people in Jackson, it's like, if y'all want this, bake me out of my house. And they baked me out of my house.
So the name of your business is?
Just Vanilla.
Just Vanilla. Was it called Just Vanilla at your house also?
Yeah, I thought Just Vanilla was kind of a fun, kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. One, because people will just say, oh, it's just vanilla. Just kind of like it's that. And then it's one of the most expensive spices out there. It actually has one of the largest array of flavor profiles, more than wine does.
Right.
So just vanilla is not just vanilla. It's one of the and it's also one of my favorite flavors. But another thing that's funny about vanilla is, do you know where it's native to?
No.
It's native to Mexico.
Is that why we can get it so cheap there?
It's the why you can get it so cheap there because they make it there, and it's probably one of the best ones. But the flour itself is like an orchid, and they've made it to where I think Madagascar is one of the like larger producers of it. But Mexico was the original
Wow,
source of
learn
it.
something new. So I
Yeah.
always wonder because whenever I'm in Mexico, I always buy big
Big
things
old
of vanilla,
thing,
right?
vanilla.
Of
Yeah, I
right.
just came back, and so yeah, I bought as much of the vanilla back as I possibly could.
Just vanilla.
Just vanilla. Yeah, yeah.
So you're from Santa Viejo, whatever.
Yeah, Cihuatanejo? Yeah, yep.
And came to Jackson. I mean, what a great background. I love that. I love that story. Make sure you continue to tell that story. You know, that's what people love to hear, the stories. And that's what I love about the whole Jackson culinary scene.
Yeah.
You know, we all have our different backgrounds, our different stories, our different histories. You know, so now you have a restaurant or a shop right here in the Fondren area. Tell us about that. What do you do here?
So what we do here is a lot of things. We do a lot of things here. We're known for our croissants. Croissants are probably one of my favorite thing in chocolates. But as well as croissants and chocolates, we do a lot of wholesale. So we supply to a lot of restaurants in the area and a lot of coffee shops in the area, as well as we have our retail shop. And now we opened up a coffee shop to downtown Jackson in the Regions building.
Oh, wow.
So again, my father-in-law, my sister-in-law, and I, it's a family business, so we run it. And so my father-in-law is best coffee roaster I know. And so at the moment we're doing coffee downtown, probably the best cup of coffee you can get. Not just saying that, but
Yeah, right.
we do as as good as we possibly can.
Is that one of your coffees you're drinking right
This is one of our coffees, yeah. But we get our coffee beans actually from a local supplier because a roaster. We lost our roaster a couple years ago, so we actually are helping out with a different coffee called Campervan Coffee. They're out from Madison, so they're locally here.
Oh, wow.
And so they do single batch coffee, and so we use their coffee for here. And then we use another coffee roaster out of Oxford called Velvet Ditch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so we're kind of just using a couple different, because there's so many roasters here, and roasters are kind of popping up that what we don't have is baked goods. So we're focusing a little bit more on just baking it and then using, that's the other thing that's cool about Jackson is like use the resources that are around you. We have great restaurants, we have great coffee shop, but there's no pastry. I'll fill in the pastry thing. We have great roasters all around the area. So there's not a whole lot of need for us to be roasting, but we can make the coffee that they're roasting. So we're kind of, try to symbiotic relationship with as many people around here. Yeah.
So not only are you feeling a need, but I love how earlier you told me that I asked you, how do you like this area? And, because it's kind of difficult operating out of this space here. All these different levels. Like right now we're in like the basement.
Yes.
And
So,
then your level's next, and then you show me another level, you go up a ladder to go to another place. Now you're going to get another place. And so tell me about the building and the space that you're in.
yes. So we're in the heart of Fondren in the Dueling Hall building that used to be a high school back like 20 years ago, something like that, that now has been repurposed for a concert venue, 2 restaurants, a ticketing agent, and a beauty salon, all in just this little area, and now a bakery. And so, yeah, like you said, we have to talk to each other because Saltines manages the bar. They use our space at night when there's a big concert. So we have to clean up so that they can use it for that. But we're also kind of just helping each other out with just different things that we need. But it feels, so before coming to the United States, what I worked mostly in was in hotels. So I did a lot of Fairmonts, I did a lot of, luxury hotels and things like that, which is where I got to learn from a bunch of different chefs from a bunch of different places. A lot of French chefs are executives at these luxury things. It's kind of like a thing to have a French chef as the executive. And then they bring in all their friends. So Spanish, Colombian, Italian, German, Dutch, worked with a lot of them. So I like this building because it feels like a hotel. Because a hotel is kind of that same, all sustaining ecosystem where you have different chefs, different restaurants, different outlets, different things, different events that are happening constantly. So I was able to kind of take that model of a pastry department would be in a hotel and put it in Dueling Hall.
Oh, that's cool.
So we do weddings, we do specialty things, we do amenities, we supply to all the different restaurants around the area, as well as have a little shop that you can come by and stop by and get a cup of coffee and a fresh baked good.
Wow. Well, when I first met you a couple of years ago, I was telling my daughter's a social influencer, but isn't everybody these days? But she has these pages, and I told her about you, and the first thing she said was, "Daddy, you got to look at his Insta page.
That's all
Your
Tessa.
IG page is incredible.
Thank you.
And so you're a great pastry chef, but man, you're an artist. Tell me, where do you come up with these ideas I mean, I'm not going to say bake, but to create?
To create that part is that part comes a little bit easier to me. I'm not gonna lie. I found well, one of the things that I learned early on, even getting into food, was what do I enjoy doing. I like working with my hands. Turns out I'm better than most people. I don't know if I'm better than most people, but I don't stop. I don't have there's not a lot of barriers that keeps a lot of other people from doing stuff. So the creative part is more of just having an idea and executing it. I think most people have the ideas, but they stop themselves from executing it because of fear, because of anxiety.
Right.
Whereas I just get in, and if I don't make it right, that's fine. I'll do it again. Like I've always had that, and baking is especially that way, and food is especially that way, because you have to start from cutting stuff. You have to start from mise en placing things. You have to start from, and it builds you up to the point where you get the confidence to where, yeah, I know how to execute that. You build up enough flavor profiles in your mind that even without tasting something, you can taste it in your brain.
Right.
Brain's really cool with that way, because we have a simulator that's from our fight or flight reflex, where you can simulate a flavor without ever tasting it.
Right.
Like, for instance, I bet you've never had a cilantro ice cream.
No, I haven't.
But you just tasted it in your brain.
I did.
You just
right.
fully
That's good.
did.
That was good. Yeah.
So the more you're involved with things and the more you get to do things, the more that simulator gets wider and it gets more. You can rely on it a lot more. I've never tasted these flavors together, but I can simulate it, and I think that this is how it would work, and then I just execute it. And then once I execute it, then I can then show people how to do it. And sometimes it turns out, sometimes it doesn't. But the more, especially, been doing this for now almost 18 years. So you get to the point where you can trust your simulator pretty well. So the creative part of it, like I said, that part comes easier to me just because I've been doing it my whole life. Like, I don't know what it's not to create. But I've talked to people and I just can't get past that point. So I found out that that's a strength that I have. But like you were saying, our Instagram thing, I can take photos. I'm terrible at posting and putting what it needs to do and the timing and everything. And that's why, like, my my front of the house manager, Tessa, she takes care of all of that. She takes care of all our marketing, manages more than I would, does a lot of the bookkeeping. My father-in-law does a lot of the bookkeeping and a lot of the things. So we split a lot of our strengths into, whoever is better at it.
Well, Tessa does a great job, I tell you. First thing, when before people eat, a lot of people eat with their eyes. I like how you talking about you eat with your mind first and just get the idea of what it is and let your mind simulate it. And it gets me slobbering.
I know, right?
But a lot of people eat with their eyes, and your Insta page just makes people eat with their eyes. And right now, I'm having a hard time because we have
You've been sitting in front of
these
these
right here, and I'm eating with my eyes, I'm eating with my nose, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if it was talking to me, I'd hear it. So tell me what we have here today.
So I have a couple of different things, a little bit of an array of different things that we do. I'm known for my croissants. I got hired at the Post Oak because there was an executive French guy, and I did a 24-hour tasting. They had a bunch of different stuff, and one of them was croissants. After the interview, he takes me up to the room where he's like, all right, now we're going to talk about everything, because they had the whole kitchen come in and taste everything. And I'll start with this. Your croissants were phenomenal. Everything else, let's talk about it. I was like, okay, so I got the approval from French chef with the croissants. And so I have a guava and cheese croissant, and I have a chocolate almond croissant, known for our almond croissants. And this one's just a regular chocolate.
And that's this one right here.
Yeah, it's a regular like pain au chocolat, but we'll take the day-old ones that have dried out a little bit, re-soak them with a little bit of a rum simple syrup, and then fill them with an almond cream, and then bake them again. So they're double baked with chocolate.
That sounds dangerous.
And then I have this cheesecake, because we do a couple different restaurants, and one of them that we do is Louise's down the street in Fondren, the piano bar.
Yeah.
And so they have this raspberry cheesecake on their menu. And so I do a slightly different take on a cheesecake. I do layered cheesecake. So we got a layer of graham cracker crust, traditional good vanilla bean cheesecake, and then I do a layer of mousse. And in this case, we have a raspberry mousse.
Goodness.
And then it's just topped with a little bit of cream. And then bonbons, that's another thing that I do love. Chocolate, I love chocolate. And I love working with it. I love it as a medium, and it's also just tastes phenomenal. And so I have 3 different types of chocolate. The first bonbon is a 64% dark chocolate with a Mexican hot chocolate ganache. And then the yellow one over there, yeah, that one's a white chocolate, a 33% white chocolate with a mango ganache and a guava paste on the inside. So we call it kind of our tropical. Some people call it the Pikachu because of the
Definitely Pikachu,
like,
yeah.
that was actually from my son. He looked at it, he was like, "Oh, those are Pikachu." And then this is probably one of my favorite chocolates. It's a milk chocolate. It's a 41% Alunga chocolate, and it's on the higher percentage of the cacao. So a lot of milk chocolates will kind of start losing a little bit of the chocolate cacao-ness because of it starts the amount of milk that goes into it.
Right.
This one retains the dark chocolate feel of like a 64%, but with the milkiness of a chocolate. And so it's a 41% Alunga, and then it's filled with dulce leche, and then a little bit of Verona crunchy pearls for a little bit of
Oh my
crunch.
goodness, that sounds great. So it's more than you say just.
No, we do.
You do
Again,
everything.
tongue in cheek, like I said. I just
Right.
wanted to
Oh
be
my
kind of
goodness.
like, yeah.
Guillermo, as you know, we have a multitude of great restaurants here in Jackson, especially for being such a small city. We have a lot of culinary offerings. I like to call this section Love at First Bite. G, what is one of your favorite bites or one of your favorite dishes that you have experienced here in the Jackson area?
Oof, that one's a hard one. I'm gonna go with my gut just because of one of the things. I think probably Pulido's has probably got some of the best bright bites that I've had.
Yes.
Some of those, they had a truffle dinner one time, and everything was with truffle, and it was any of those dishes. I only had bites in the back, but it was probably one of the best dinners I've ever had. Period. So I'm just going to use that as the entirety of that event as probably one of the best bites I've had in Jackson. Which Chad does a lot of pop-ups like that. So
He does. He does. And I can see that. I mean, I can definitely see that. One time I was there, and you know how Chaz is. Whenever you're eating, he brings more stuff to the table.
he brings more stuff. Yeah. Yep.
And he did a truffle spaghetti
Yes.
that night. He said, Gino, I just got these fresh truffles and put this pasta right in front of me and just started shredding
those truffles.
And that's all he did.
Yeah.
And it was the best. I get you. I understand that.
Truffles does an amazing thing to food. I put truffle, especially the fresh, really good truffle, on the salt level. Of salt can just bring a dish up, and just the salt kind of fades behind. Truffle does that too, where if you do it just right, it just pulls out so many different flavors.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that's a good love at first bite. Thank you, G.
You're welcome.
Well, Guillermo, thank you so much for joining us today at Jackson's Table. And remember, Jackson's Table, you will always find a seat.